A brand new show that just dropped. While the presenters play dominoes, a special guest will be discussing all topics that matter to you. Everything from judicial, legal, health, wealth. Nothing is off topic. The name, you ask me? Domino Effect. Domino Effect. Come listen. It's time well spent.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. At whatever time you're watching us, welcome to the Domino Effect Show, your favorite show, the show you need to watch. Tonight, I am at the table as a special guest as we discuss fatherhood. We know in the news a lot of black fathers get flack for not doing their work, for not providing child support, for not caring for their children. So at the table this evening, we have with us Sweet Will, who's a dad of 3. We have the Padre, who's a dad of 1. We have Vods, who's a dad of 3. And we have Eves, who's a dad of 4. I say 4 because he has a son and a daughter, but he also has 2 dogs. So he has 2 fur babies. So yes, he is a father of 4. He was sitting here looking like 4. What, she out of me? What kids? I will not be able to go home all night.
She's gonna ask.
And I know all of you guys were like looking at me like, yo, wait.
I have 2 Haiti.
Stephanie is watching.
That's not what we mean.
We're not talking about
We're not talking about the one in Haiti.
One thing I wanted to bring up. Growing up, my father was my idol.
Yeah.
My mom used to work. My dad worked too. However, my dad took me to school. My dad did my hair. My dad fed me. My dad did homework with me. And he was the love of my life. My brothers, when my dad was no longer in the picture, my brothers continued that tradition where one of the things they did was take me to go get my hair done, go get my nails done, take me out to dinner, take me on special little dates, because one of the things I know Sweet Will wants to talk about is he doesn't want no so-and-so knocking down his door thinking that they're going to impress his daughter, because he's already impressed her, because he is playing the role that he needs to play at home. So one of the things we know, the Bible tells us, I believe it's in Psalms or Proverb, it says, like the arrow that a man has, so are the children of his youth. And blessed is the man who has a quiver of them, who has a lot of them. So, fellas, we are going to discuss fatherhood this evening. What your take is on fatherhood, whether or not your dad was around, who impressed on you the man that you are today, and in how you raise your children, and also the role of a dad in the household.
I will start.
Sure.
I would say my father, I would say, he's always been the father. I take care of my kids, no matter what. He was always, no matter what the sacrifice is, not just him, but my mother, but my father he always does what he has to do, take care of all his kids. And that was one thing I 1,000% admired about him. That is the reason why I named my first son after him. Because of that. I have 3 kids, 2 boys and 1 girl. All 3 kids are my life. But my daughter,
that's your heart.
Oh Lord.
That's your heart.
I try to make sure she has basically every experience in where I make sure she travels everywhere. I take her places, travel everywhere. That way, a man can't take her, let's say, we live in Boston. That man takes her to Rhode Island or to Pennsylvania.
Or to
She's
New
like,
Hampshire.
oh my God. No, nothing like that is going to surprise her.
Or impress her.
Exactly. Because I've taken her to Portugal, Spain, Paris, things like that. So you really need to, when you come to my plan is when you come to my daughter, you need to be on point.
You need to come correct.
Exactly. You need
need
to
to
be.
come correct.
You need to come correct. You need to be on
Not
point.
the dusty guy.
Exactly. Not some.
I get it. I get it. We get it. We get it.
Don't get me. Yo.
Don't get him started,
Don't get me
please.
hype.
You get him hot. So,
Nah.
one of the things is this. I know the Bible has what a father should be and the role of the father in the household as the head of the household. What is your take on that, Eves?
Like Sweet Will said, our father, the way he take his responsibility for us, it's an example how we should be as a man.
Also, people who does not know, Eve is my brother.
Your little brother?
Yeah, my little.
Not your little
He's
brother.
my older brother, but
You
I
treat
act
him-
exactly.
you treat him
I
like a
treat
little
him
brother.
as the little brother and stuff because I'm more kind of like
More like
I take action and whatnot and stuff. Exactly. I take action like I don't play games and whatnot. But him, he's more like
He's more mellow.
Exactly,
Yeah,
he's
he's
mellow
more
and things like that.
mellow.
I'm not that type. No.
Like he's like, come correct.
Exactly.
Don't come for
I'm
me.
the like, come correct and whatnot. He comes and tells me, I'm like, listen, sit back, I got this. So, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay. So
Hey,
as you were saying about your
Yeah.
dad.
yeah, like we say, my dad, we can use him as an example. He will do everything for us and willing to put his life on sacrifice. And no one can step in front of him and say, hey,
You
I don't
failed
want you
here.
to, yeah, you failed.
Yeah.
I give him credit for that. But as a parent, dad, I want to go back to our culture back
Yes.
home, the way
Yes.
we raise. Back home, we always know when before you getting into familyhood, like getting married and have a house, you got to be responsible. When we talk about responsibility, the man is in charge. When we say in charge, but it's 50-50.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
it's
So,
not-
so I'm going to touch upon that in charge thing. I like that. I like that because the Bible does say the man is the head of the household, just like Christ is the head of the church.
Exactly.
However, the Bible also says that the man should protect his
Exactly.
wife,
That's what.
protect his family, provide for his family, just like Christ gave his life for the church.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people that may be watching today may hear, "Oh, you hear this? The man is in charge. The man is in control."
not in that.
And
Not,
they think being in charge means having
no,
a
it's
firm
not in that
hand and,
aspect. It's
you
not in
know.
that aspect.
Okay. I
So
just want to
if
make sure
I'm
we're
at
on
my
the same.
house, my family's wife, the way I say my family's wife, is my responsibility. Make sure they're safe. Make sure they have a roof under their head. Make sure the kids are well
Taken care
fed,
of.
and all those things.
Okay.
And I think as a black man and the community and the
part.
society, I have to do some effort that's higher
Then,
because the impression that
Ah.
most other people think,
Yes.
oh, black guy, they don't take care of the family, they have kids so many times. I can say that. You met some people even at work. They say the first thing they say, oh, how many kids you have?
how many baby mamas?
How many baby mamas you have?
Uh-huh.
But it doesn't have to be that way. I could be black, but I'm not acting the same way other people.
Everybody is.
But that's
Exactly.
that's a
That's
statistic.
the way you. Yeah, that's the way
That's
you
a
guys were
stati- yeah,
raised.
that's
Yeah.
a statistic thing, basically.
And
in
for me,
America, though, so.
like I said, same thing like my dad would do. I will give my life for my family, and I will say, I don't see myself living without my kids.
Okay. So, Vods, I'm gonna come to you now. So, how does fatherhood relate to you? How do you see fatherhood? How do you see your work as a father or your role as a father in the household?
That's a good question, and I was listening to Sweet Will and also to Eve. My story, it's not, it's pretty much the same but different. Cause I remember that my father, when we grew up, my father had to leave Haiti and come to um, America to have a better life, to prepare the way for us. So I was 6 years old when my father left, and I was raised until I was 17. When I came here, I was raised by my mother, and my mother played both roles as a mother and as a father, and that I um, learned a lot about my mother from my mother. But still, I still had fear for my father, even though when you guys remember those cassette. Um,
That you would be making a tape to
Listen.
send back. Yeah.
Listening. So when my father is like talking, telling us how to behave, like I had to obey because that was the fear that my father
Instilled in you
yeah.
guys.
So for me as a father right now, because of what my father invests in me, and also as my mother also invest on me, so because my mother teach me how to treat a woman, you know how a woman supposed to be treated, and also that for me as a father, I come into my marriage, so I go by what the Bible says in Genesis, that a man shall leave his household and cleave. No, a lot of time we forget about the word cleave. So my household is very important for me as the head of the father, because I'm trying to be a Christ like. You know what Christ has came and show us for us to be like we said Christ is the head. So as the head of the household, it's my job to lead. If my family failed, it's my fault as a father. You know, I have a responsibility to make sure that I feed my kids, I protect my kids, I pray over my kids, and I need to lead the house where the house is supposed to be, because I have to what Will said when it comes to, I have a daughter, and what I'm teaching my daughter right now, it's to be confident on herself, and where that I'm trying to do everything. I love my two sons, but when it comes to my daughter, there's a there's a
Overprotected.
pause,
It's
you know,
Overprotected.
because I want to raise my daughter to be confident on herself, and I try and try every day to give my daughter everything that she wants, everything that she can ask if I can afford it, to make sure that when she meets someone, for her not to put herself
for
down or fall for anything.
That's
So
right.
that's what
We
I'm
have to
raising.
be careful in that aspect too. When you see everything that she wants,
Because you're gonna
Because
spoil her
yeah,
that,
no,
yeah.
title.
Yeah.
No,
The thing
wait,
is, I
yeah.
have a question for my little big brother Fords. You know, with that, with you saying that like in the Christian and like and whatnot and stuff like that, what advice would you give to the gentlemen who are not, let's say, they're not Christian? What advice would you give them in regards to taking care of their family? You know, I mean, not everybody,
Is a
like we
Christian.
all grew up in the church, we
We
all
did.
Christian and stuff like that, but the men who are, they didn't grow up in church, what advice would you give them? Not acknowledge, not the fact that
Taking
not
into
Gentile-
fact that they're not
exactly,
Christians.
they're not
Okay,
Christian.
real-
What would you say to them
You wanna
Okay,
for them
you
to
wanna
take action?
You wanna answer
no,
that?
no, you can answer
Yeah,
the
okay,
question,
then.
but before he answers the question, I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna clear
Everything
his
up.
way. All right? So you guys grew up with your father being around. I did not.
Yeah.
See, that's the difference. Okay, so I grew up knowing that I have a father, but I wasn't raised by my father, right? So I was raised by my aunt and my mom, and then when we went to church, it was mostly by pastors and reverend and all that. That kind of like
The church community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was more of like those guys were my role models.
Okay.
So, but at the same time, I knew I had a father, but I just never met him. You know what I mean? So, and I would say, okay, he's not a Christian. A lot of times when we say that, we're like, oh yeah, you know, especially in the Haitian community, oh, we always have 5 kids by 3 different baby mamas. And I'm not just talking about blacks. It's in the Haitian community. That's always like that. But here's the situation: just because you have kids that are not with the woman that you're with or whatever it is, right? Doesn't mean the kid doesn't need love.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
You know what I mean? And yes, I understand sometimes the women are just like being ridiculous with some demands and stuff. No, I'm just
They can.
No. The reason why I'm saying that is because, hey, I mean, I saw the pain from my mother. You know what I mean? I saw the pain of like, oh, there's no man in the house taking care of any, you know, of what needs to be done. But at the same time, you know, it's like, if we're gonna go back to, I mean, if we're gonna move forward to here, to being in the United States, when you're a father, you're the one who put yourself in that position to be a father with this woman, regardless if the woman is your girlfriend, wife, or whatever it is. You need to take your responsibility. You know what I mean? Yeah, the woman may be a total.
You just answered my question.
The woman may be a little itch. But at the same time, you need to handle your business.
You literally answered the question I was about to ask, because I'm about to say, like, what made you the man that you are?
Well,
even though you didn't have the father, you didn't have the father in your life.
Exactly.
What made you the man that you are today?
But see, one of the reasons why I am the father I am today is because I had an example of not to be. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be my father, just having a kid that don't know who I am.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Just to move forward on what you said, it's almost the same thing when you don't have a high education and you have your kid. You want your kid to be better than you. So you don't want to be like your dad. Or my dad wasn't there for me.
So I'm not gonna be
there for my kid, my child.
You don't want it to be like a never-ending cycle.
Exactly.
So you want to change the narrative, because the question I was going to ask you is, you know, as a father, how do you incorporate yourself into your child's life as a friend?
Oh, well, me, the way I incorporate me. Oh,
tough question, huh? You
see,
like that, huh?
This is here's the thing. This is what people don't understand. Just because you're the father doesn't mean you can't be your kid's friend. But there's a limit. Okay? But see, me, the way I started mine, I love soccer. I coach soccer. I played soccer. But my son, now he loves soccer. But when he was young, I don't think he and I ever sat down to watch a whole game of soccer.
But then again, at that point, kids do not know what they really want until you give them the experience, and then they find out.
You know what I mean? So
you give them 3 items. They're like, "Hey, I like the middle one. I like soccer."
And then all of a sudden they start changing.
Exactly.
So one of the reasons why I'm bringing soccer is because, you know, you must try to have something in common with your kid, so you can have some sort of conversation. You know what I mean? So it's not just so much as like, oh, how was your day? How was school? How was this? Now you're asking questions, because in the morning I used to be the one that bring my son to school, right? So he used to call me a sergeant, because I used to say, did you put lotion on? Did you do this? Did you do that? So I was giving him a list of things. Did you do? You know?
Sometimes like you really have to hold their hands. Like my son, all the time, I'm like, listen, don't do this, don't do that, and he gets annoyed. But at the same time, I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to annoy. I'm like, I'm trying to protect you. I'm trying to protect you, and I try to make sure you follow the right path, because at the end of the day, when I grew up, certain things were not the way they were. Things have changed. I need to make sure you do not have the experience I've experienced. I need to make sure you are safe 24/7. Because as my job as a father, is to make sure you are protected, make sure you are safe. I provide in everything. That is my job.
Okay. I have a testimony too.
Okay.
Dude, this is not church, dude.
Let him testify. Let the brother testify. Come
Let him testify.
Let's testify.
Go ahead.
I gotta testify.
Do what you gotta
The
do.
reason why
Do what you gotta do.
the reason
They're
why
not gonna take it for
I
it.
gotta testify.
Amen, bro.
I remember when my wife was pregnant with my daughter, and I wasn't happy because I was expecting to have another boy.
Because you were used to a boy.
Yeah,
That's
I
what it
want a
was.
boy. I said I don't want a girl. I don't want. I'm already.
happy, you're used to
Not
whatever.
only that, I'm already having high blood pressure. I don't want
Because it's not the fact you have sisters.
Yeah,
Yes.
so,
It's one thing being protected
Yeah.
of your sisters.
So-
Now,
Yeah, you gotta be
got
protective
daughters,
of
you got
your
daughters.
daughter.
It's like,
So,
listen,
I said
I feel you. I
I'm
hear you.
heart attack,
I already.
heart attack is knocking at your door.
Yeah, and I said I don't want to eat daughter.
girl.
And my wife, she was very
Excited.
convincing and happy, and she said, "Listen, it's not gonna be like that, but not the way you think. It's how you raise the kid and how you what kind of father you are."
That's true.
And
What you don't understand, it's your daughter that's going to take care of you
exactly,
tomorrow.
but you know what I start seeing right now, and this is one thing I used to say that when I don't have kids. I say I will never go to jail.
Oh,
I used to say that, but now I changed
I'm
my.
ready.
I change right now.
ready.
Right now I change my equation.
Exactly.
That's right.
And I say I leave the jail doors open for me.
That's
Exactly.
right. That's
Because
right.
anything happened to my daughter,
You are ready.
You're correct.
you ready.
Yeah.
You're correct
Exactly.
because one of the things I will say,
You
say,
ready.
you know, if somebody loves me and wants to treat me well, don't treat me well, treat my son well.
Yep.
Because if
see,
you
it's-
hurt
now
him,
you say-
let me
see,
just put it
you
this
know,
way.
you know what you say that?
I'm
Let me just put
sorry.
it this way. No. The reason, no. You know how she says that because
That's
me,
not how I say it. But
whenever
you know.
I go to a restaurant, when my son was younger,
Yep.
if
If
you want
the
me to give
waitress-
you a good tip,
Treat my
I
child
want to
well.
see your interaction
you
with my
interact,
son.
yep.
Then you get a good tip.
That
Because
was my son. Everybody, oh my God, he's cute. If I bring him to the restaurant and you didn't say he was cute,
I'm good. You're not getting a tip.
You don't get no
Listen.
tip.
your tip
It's gonna be
It's-
25 cents.
is 25 cents.
That's right.
Now, if you look at my son, you say he's cute. Listen,
it moved up. And then
your
conversation.
college just
Hey,
got paid.
exactly.
to all our viewers that's watching us right now, remember, we're not only talking about the kids, our child. Those child have someone that's carried them.
That's
So
right. They're moms.
it's the mom. We cannot love the child without loving the mom.
That's right.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. So for
Oh,
all
yeah.
those single
Amen.
fathers
You
out
see?
there,
You're gonna get
who-
something tonight.
yeah, they're turning around. They're turning around and they're upset. They're upset because they have to pay for child
Yeah.
support. They're upset because they have to care for the child, and a lot of times they'll turn around and say, "Oh, you know, it goes towards the mom. It's not really
No,
for the
yeah.
kid." Listen, you love this person enough to procreate another
Yeah,
human being with them.
Yeah.
You must respect them. You must
Yeah.
treat them well. You must co-parent with them
Amen.
because that same child you claim to love came from someone.
Exactly.
That's why I
Because
said- oh, yeah.
But
One
at
of
the
the
same
things-
time, you have to
I
understand.
know. So I know some of them are
some of these
demanding.
witches, they
but
don't play
hold on,
around.
I
They
know.
don't give
I
good
know.
reason though.
Because one of the testimonies that I can give to you, one of the testimonies I can give to you about
Witches. I love that. I love that.
guys,
been a
let's
different
bring
word.
it in. Let's bring it in.
You know, I got the-
One
I'm
of
not
the-
with I'm not with you guys.
No, it's not that. It's not.
Dude, I'm not talking about.
No,
I'm
it's
not talking.
not-
I'm
no,
trying
I
to
know.
defend.
No, I hear you.
Defend
So
the
hold,
brother.
hold
I
up,
hear you,
hold
I
up.
hear you.
One of the testimonies that I can give to you guys real quick about leading by example. My son used to go somewhere in Worcester called the Worcester JCC, Worcester Jewish Community Center for after school. So one day I received a message from his school saying, "Wow, you have an amazing young man." I'm like, "I know that." And they're like, "No, you don't understand." They said, "Your child got on the bus. A parent reached out to us. Your child got on the bus and your child saw this child. This child was crying. He was scared. Your child came, sat down next to him and said, 'What's wrong?' He goes, 'First day of kindergarten, I'm going to this place for after school. I don't know anybody. I'm scared.'" So my son said, "Oh, okay, let me tell you about the place." While he's telling him about the place, he's putting on his seatbelt for him.
Wow.
He goes, "You know, you're going to make a lot of friends. Actually, I'm your friend. This is my name. What's your name?" They said the whole time he spoke to this boy and calmed him down. When he got to the Worcester JCC, he brought him to the room that he was supposed to be in. And then he never came home and told us anything about it. But the child went home and said to his mother, "I met this big kid who wants to be my friend."
Because he didn't want your. That's the thing.
He didn't
Your
want-
son
No.
didn't want the glory.
I
No,
think the story.
He was just reacting
Yeah.
because of how
Exactly.
how
what
he was
saw.
raised.
Yeah,
Because
that's
it
what I was
just-
gonna say.
It was
Yeah.
just
Exactly.
normal.
Yeah.
True.
It
For
was
him,
normal
it was
to
normal.
him. It was like,
So
hey,
when-
exactly. So that's
this mom said, "Can you please find this boy for me and find his parents?" So the school's like, where was he?" It's like, "Oh, it was this van." It's like, "Oh, that's so and so." So when they spoke to him about it and they told him to tell us, he never did. So the school reached out and said, "Oh, you know, this is what we heard from a parent about your son. Did he tell you?" I'm like, "No." So when I went back to him, I said, "Hey, what's going on? How come you didn't tell us?" He's like, "It was normal.
Yeah.
The
Exactly.
child was
It was normal
and he
to
needed
him
my
because
help,
that
so
was
I
what
provided the
he
help."
was taught. Exactly.
So the thing is, all of you men who are fathers, I know the world will tell you that as a father, you need to spend money. You need to take trips. You need to do a lot of things. That is if you can within your budget. I'm not asking you to go overboard and do all of these things. But one of the best things that you can do for your children is to be present.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you the best things that I remember about my father was that he was present. He would read with me. He would teach me how to write. He was there. Even though he was there for like an early and short part of my life, but he was there and I remember his
Now,
presence.
do you give your mother credit
Oh!
the fact that
Absolutely.
he allowed that to take it, because there's a lot of
women who do
women
not.
exactly, because they use the kid as a crutch, kind
Let
of
me
like
tell you.
they're
So,
trying to use it against the men.
One-
That shouldn't
one
be the
of-
case, because at the end of the day,
I'm
your
glad you
kid
bring that
pays
up.
the consequence
You
when you're
do.
trying to block their father from
One-
That's right.
because you have an issue with him. No,
One of the things
every
I can tell
kid,
you,
daughter, son, they need their father
they do.
in their life.
They
if
do.
you can coexist, like work it out,
Co-parent, yep.
make
Do it. Make it a priority.
happen.
Yes, yes.
They need their father.
But
Yes.
isn't it a cultural issue on that aspect?
I've seen- no, it's a humanity issue.
It's not a humanity
It's a-
because at
yeah.
the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you are, for example, we're Haitian. We always like the fathers need to be in their life, because my father, he didn't have to say. Well, I would say our father didn't have to say anything. All he did was this.
Look at y'all.
Give
And
that
you
a look.
knew.
That's why we give him
You
a name
just, you know what I'm
called
saying?
Toe.
But
All you have to
Bull.
do is that
But
love,
there's
and then
people
we
that-
already know what we are doing wrong.
But how would you guys react? Is this father that's present, but they
But
don't
they're
know how
not
to
present.
go, how to give love,
Let me
affection,
just put it to you this way.
Yeah.
But
If we're here in the US,
I
there's
totally-
magazines, there's websites, there's shows on TV that show you how to be a dad.
But see,
that cannot be an
but okay,
excuse.
but see, no,
Yeah.
see, I disagree with you. On
Yeah,
that.
I was
Okay,
Go ahead.
what I'm saying is, okay, if you were raised without love, it's gonna be very hard for you to give somebody
someone
else's
love,
love.
yeah.
You know how in the Bible
However-
they say, you know how in the Bible they says, oh, God is our Father, He knows how we feels and stuff like that. A lot of people can't relate to that.
They
A lot of
cannot
Christian,
give if they didn't receive.
If they didn't receive.
Yeah.
I get it.
In
Yeah.
America, some people believe the fact that, like, let's say there's a mother in the household. I'm a father. I go to work. The mother stays home. Now, the fact that the mother is able to stay home and whatnot, and I'm going to work, that's enough. Yes, it is enough, because the fact that
You have
it's a sacrifice.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
The father sacrificed the time and everything else. The fact that, like, him spending time with his son, his daughter, and whatnot, because now the mother is
The one.
a stay-at-home
Yes,
mom.
yeah,
The
yeah.
mother is the father and the mother at home, but the father is working for the mother and able to stay home. A lot of time, the kids does not recognize what the father is.
The sacrifice.
Doing.
Exactly.
But
The son.
hold
Because they be
on.
like, my father was
Hold
never
on.
there. He never
Hold
showed
on.
me the love.
Let me-
Yes.
let me
but at the
explain.
same time,
He has
Let
a
me-
different way of
let me-
showing
exactly.
it.
You know, it's different
Let
with
me
because the
explain-
mother was
let me
able to
touch
stay
upon
home.
that.
If he didn't go to work, your mother would have to go
I think
to
we
work.
are running
Let-
out of time.
We are. We are.
No,
let,
that's
let me,
no,
let
that's
me
fine.
touch
This is
upon
a
that
very important
because
topic.
Yeah, it is
you
a-
said
Time,
you said
time
a
is
couple
of the
of
essence.
things.
That's fine. We don't
Yeah,
worry about the
you
time
said
right
a
now at
couple
the
of
point.
things. You said, "Do I give my mom credit?" No matter how upset I would get with my dad
Yeah.
and say he wasn't, she would remind me, "Your dad loves you.
Yes.
Your dad did this. Don't you remember that?"
What type of
So-
now?
Okay, hold on,
that
hold
is
on,
a-
hold on,
now,
hold on,
That's
hold
a
on.
great mother to recognize
Okay,
that.
okay, okay.
That's
Because
right.
right.
She said something that's really good. Sometimes the father and the mother, they don't work together.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's one of the issue we find on almost
A lot of families.
a lot of families because I tell the kids something and the
mom
mother
says
said
something else.
something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So we don't have a clear
Unity.
communication. And what happened? We have some mothers, like you said, that stay at the house with the kids. What they do? They brainwash the
The
kids.
kids to say your dad
Hey,
doesn't
your
love
dad
you.
doesn't love me.
Yeah.
I'm the only one here. And there's certain things that's happening in the family. You have to discuss it with your husband, not
We
with
do.
the kid.
We
With the
do.
kids. And sometimes they turn the kid against one of the parents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Which is bad.
Yeah.
It's
So
sad
I
because
think
if I'm working 24/7 taking care of my kids and my family, my wife is able to stay home.
true.
A
That's a
sacrifice that I
blessing.
make.
Yeah.
You should be able to say, listen. Your father loves you, and he's at work and something. That's why
Everything
True.
he's doing
exactly.
is
It's
I'm
for
able
the
to
good
stay
of
home.
the- yeah.
It's because he's making the sacrifice, doing everything
Yes.
what he
True.
has to do.
What-
and
The mother,
and at the same point too, you gotta tell while your wife staying home.
Yeah, you
You have
gotta
to
talk to the
respect.
kids.
You as a man, you have to respect that your
the
wife stay
sacrifice she's
home
also
because she's
making.
doing a full-time
So
job
what,
too.
Guys,
so what
oh, yeah.
advice
So what
that
advice would we
give
give
to our young men, to our
the
father?
young men
yeah.
out there?
My advice to the young men up there: take your responsibility. The kid doesn't ask you to be born, and if you're old enough to have sex, you're old enough to take your responsibility.
To be a father, yeah.
And
And I would
one last thing to finish. You cannot have your kid and have another man taking care of them for you.
Okay.
Step up and do your job.
To the ladies out there, you have a child with someone, work with that person. You love them enough once to procreate. Now you have a child. There's a child's life in the balance that did not ask to be born. Be reasonable. Be honest. Be open to work things out and take care of that child together without endangering that person's
yeah.
livelihood or life.
And as a father, as a young man out there, invest. If you don't know how to give love, and because you never receive, and if you don't know how to give attention because you never receive attention, and I always tell all the young men that I know that I've been talking to, find a role model, find a man that you can relate to, that you want to be like, okay, and ask question, because I know that it's not easy to be a father, but it's a responsibility.
Okay. There is help. There is help out there. If you like my little big brother George said, there is help out there. If you never gotten love, there is help out there in how to show love. Men, give the women, the mother, the credit. Their life was in danger when they had your child. Show them appreciation.
Look at the camera.
Love them. At the end of the day, if you love, well, I would think that every father love their kids, whether it's a son or a daughter. Give your wife full credit. It's a 50-50, it's a 50% chance that they could have died in birth.
9 months.
Their life was in the line when they had your daughter, where they had your son. Thank them every day that every time you look at your son, you look at your daughter, especially when you look, like every day I look at my daughter, I'm like, princess. I look at my daughter every day, I'm like, wow, she is beautiful. She's like, every time I walk through the door, even if I had a hard time at work, she comes through the door. I'm just like, wow. I can say wow because of my wife. You know what I'm saying? So
You're gonna make me cry.
you have to thank your wife for giving you, because she put her life on the line. When a woman says, I'm gonna give you kids, she literally says, I'm gonna put my life on the line to give you kids.
That was
deep, sweet Will. You touched me here.
This is the reason why this thing says sweet will.
Let's
Let's toast. Are we toasting, sweet Will?
No, but honestly,
guys,
because
please
Remember to like, subscribe, and share.
being a father is love your kids, love your sons, take action.
Amen.
Take action. At the end of the day, kids don't ask to be born. It is your job, your responsibility to make sure they are better than you and you provide the best that you can. They don't ask for much. Kids are easily impressed. You just have to do your best. Just do your best to make sure they are safe and provide.
Amen.
That's all. And
That's
appreciate their mother for what they do. And mothers, I beg of you, make the kids know that their father, if you are especially if you have stay-at-home mom, let them know your father is at work. He is the reason why we're able to stay home, because if he wasn't at work, you would have to be at work, and that kid would be in daycare. The daycare will be raising them.
No, I agree.
You have the opportunity where you get to raise your kid.
Yeah. Preach.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like, mothers, please take your responsibility to provide the love and whatnot to your husband, to let the kids know, I appreciate my husband for staying at home and take care of my kids. Husbands,
I love you.
I understand you at work and whatnot, but when you come home at the end of the day,
I love you.
appreciate your wife.
We love you, Will.
It is a job. Staying at home taking care of your kids.
We love you. We know how you
It's
feel.
true.
You got it up.
We know how you feel.
Thank you so much for allowing us to come into your home with this special topic today. We didn't play any dominoes because this was the hot topic of the evening.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. The links are below. Thank you and good evening.
Happy New Year!